All right. Welcome to the Brand Identity Design Business Podcast. My name is Jason. I'm your host for today's show. And we are doing this series, extended series for almost 1.5 years now, called as the dark side of entrepreneurship. Nothing really dark and scary. The aim of the show is to educate entrepreneurs such as yourself who are listening to this podcast, share ideas, recommend strategies, give you tips and tricks to make money or interesting things which is being shared by my guest who I interview on a weekly basis on my show. My podcast is heard over 23 countries, currently ranks on Spotify on the top 30%. I think by the end of this year, I think I would reach the 20% top category for sure on Spotify. That's what I'm hoping. But none of this would be possible without my supporters and listeners who regularly listen to my show and help me out. So shout out to you folks. If you are there on Spotify, LinkedIn Live, whichever platform, audio-based platforms which are out there, without your love and support, without you sharing and listening to my podcast, none of this achievement would make sense. So thank you so much. Today, we have an interesting guest. Again, shout out to Phyllis for introducing me to Cas Johnson. We would be speaking about why you need house rules in business. I'm kind of, not really familiar with this topic. I would be personally trying to get more insights from Cas, trying to understand how this works. She's an ethical strategist. And just in case if you're wondering who this show or this episode is targeted to, this podcast is suitable for entrepreneurs, business owners, professionals, or anybody who is interested in the world of corporate structure and ethics. Whether you are already running a business or simply curious about the impact of house rules on organizational success, this episode will offer you valuable insights. Now, before we get into the introduction of my guest, I want to actually make one quick announcement. So as you guys know already, and I've been trying to market this not only on LinkedIn as well as on my email newsletter, I've actually gathered a really cool team of web developers, and I have started offering web design solutions to my clients as well. So as a valued listener and supporter of my podcast, we are extending a special opportunity to yourself to get a free 5-page website. The first 20 clients who would reach out to me would be able to get this incredible deal. Okay, there is no catch associated to it. I would be offering you the website absolutely free, just the design part. I also want to be very respectful and be honest and upfront about one component. The domain cost, the SEO, and the web maintenance fee would be additional. That's how we recover the cost of the talent which has been used to do web design. It's a long-term strategy. I want to be very upfront and transparent about it. I also want to give a shout out to a few of my good friends who are listening to our conversations. First of all, Phyllis, Christine, Leslie, and I see my good friend Derek who has reached out to me for web design, and I would be reaching out to you, Derek, very soon. So let's actually get into this conversation very quickly. So who is Cas, you might be wondering. Cas Johnson is an ethical strategist specializing in house rules for small businesses with over 20 years of experience in various sectors. Cas combines her expertise in business support and her passion for law. Cas has proven track record in implementing structured processes, saving projects time and resources. As a founder of CAS Ltd, which stands for Corporate Administrative Solutions, CAS helps business owners understand the importance of policies and procedures, internal community, and ethics. Through personalized guidance, CAS empowers clients to build stronger, more confident businesses. So please welcome our lovely CAS. Let's have some drum roll. Welcome, Cas, to the Brand Identity Design Business Podcast. I hope you're feeling great.
Thank you. I love the drum roll. It's usually trumpets, actually.
Awesome. So let's deep dive into this conversation. So I want to let the audience know that I have structured my questions into 4 categories. One, we would be speaking and asking questions about house rules from a business point of view, a business perspective. The second category would be from a customer point of view. The third category would be from an employee point of view and their perspective on this. And the last one would be general questions, which has legal and regulatory aspects about house rules. All right, so let's deep dive into this. Now, the very first thing which I like to ask you, Cass, is would you mind helping the audience understand what exactly the heck is house rules?
So, yeah, House Rules is made up of three elements, and it's a CAS concept that brings the three main ingredients of any kind of business together. And I believe you can disagree and we can debate about that. It's policies and procedures. So you have a structure to your business. Then there's internal community because you can't do everything yourself. You're going to need some kind of support. And then ethics. Say what you mean what you say, and be upfront with everyone. And the trio combined makes good sense for business, and you should have success.
Awesome, awesome. So I missed out the last one. So first one was policy and procedures. Second was internal community. What was the last one?
The most important one, honesty. Jason, was that on purpose?
No. I missed it. Okay, so three
Yeah.
important things that makes house rules. Okay, awesome. So then I kind of have an idea. So let's deep dive into today's topic. So again, so guys, first section from a business perspective. So my first question to you: how can house rules contribute to enhancing the overall customer experience and satisfaction?
Okay, so what was the last big ticket item that you bought, or something that was meaningful to you? Just keep that in mind. And if it was a new place that you went to buy something, or if it was a place that was familiar to you. I'm trying to think. Maybe about a year ago, I bought a car. I went somewhere new, and I was wowed by the sales team. They were very attentive. They called me Miss Johnson. They offered me tea or coffee or whatever. I was able to go for a test drive. I was wooed and awed. And then that made me want to buy. I bought. And that's what we have in all businesses. People want to feel special for a moment. I'm very sorry. I didn't know this noise was on. You want to be seen. You want to feel special. That's what your customers want. I know businesses take it from the standpoint of how much money can I get from out of this person, but you have to have a little finesse to it. And so the policies, your procedures, it's more procedures and your processes when you're at the ground level. How does that flow? Is there a flow? You know, you don't want to be standing around in a queue forever just trying to buy something. You don't want to be searching or hunting for a price tag to find out how much it is. I know some people have some kind of ideology that if you have to ask the price, then you can't afford it. That's not true. You're just irritating me. I've got to say that house rules have come from me being irritated by the services that are out there and listening to what people have not received in the past that they've complained about and they want. So when you are looking at creating your business, you obviously think about money. When you eat food, you are hungry, you want to get full, but you want to have something nice, something enticing. It's very much the same in business. Think about the process that you go through, or not you, but your actual client, customer, whoever it is, however you describe them. Make sure that it flows. Have I stayed on point?
Yes, definitely. So one aspect it is your experience with the business, and the second aspect is how the businesses has its processes and policies in place to ensure there is a smooth flow, as you saw, has some
Yeah,
finesse
so
to it.
yeah, that's right. There's always going to be an experience. You want it to be a good experience for the people that you are trying to attract so that you build that loyalty. I mean, you can always have a one and done. Someone can always experience it and say, no, that's not for me, I'm not coming back. Or you have someone who's completely in love with you, and no matter what kind of change they've got, they're always going to come back to you. But they think of you first, you are in front of mind. But then people don't connect their policies and their processes to that experience. It's separated when it should be together. Because in your policies, you would have your core values. That's not something that you have on the wall in a fancy frame. It makes no sense if it's not coming through in the processes that you have in your business.
All right, all right. I kind of understand what you're trying to say. So let's deep dive this a little further. Could you perhaps
Okay.
provide us more examples on house rules that has been specifically designed to address customer needs and expectation, other than what you spoke about, the tags having, the clothes having price tags, or location, like where to move, where to go to find what stuff like. Can you give us maybe another example of customer needs and expectation?
So let's go for Amazon. Everyone orders from Amazon. They don't think about the work ethics of the people that are working for Amazon, and we probably won't get into that here. But it's convenient. It gets delivered to your door. Now you can get it. If you order it in the morning, you can get it in the afternoon. If you don't like it, you can send it back. Someone will come and collect it. Complete convenience. They have a process there, don't they? That someone or a robot is picking up that order. They're making sure that it's picked, packed, and sent out to you so that you are happy, so that you come back again. It's a perfect process if you don't take into account the ethics.
Absolutely, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas if you take a chance and you see these independent businesses and they are selling something on, I don't know, Instagram or TikTok, and you think, oh, I've never actually heard of them before. And hold on, am I going to be safe? Are they going to deliver the item? What is their refund policy if they have one? Can I exchange? How long is it going to take? If they don't have any of that information, there's no reassurance. All they have is a product that they're putting out to people and say, buy it from me because I'm cheaper. And yes, if they're really cheap when money was in abundance, when we were in the pandemic and we had nothing to spend our money on, so we were just desperate to spend it, then it was great. But now, as the economy changes and people are counting every penny, they take these things into consideration. So if you do not have a refund policy, which is something that I review, then they're likely to go to Amazon. They may want to support local, but really it's their money. Can they afford not to get that product?
Absolutely.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah?
So you're prioritizing here with house rules. What it's actually doing is focused on customer satisfaction. It's also focused on customer convenience and delight. You're trying to design a policy and procedure in place which ensures that the client or the customer trusts you as a brand, as a business. Okay, and you have unique steps in place. If something goes sideways, you always have their back or have things covered. It gives customers the confidence to continue shopping around without any second guesses, right? With Amazon,
Right.
like, if you don't like the product, we're just using Amazon as an example. You can always return it back and they will replace it with something of your choice, whatever. Or if they don't have the product in stock, they would give you the money back. It's pretty straightforward.
Yes.
So you are recommending that all businesses should have this rule in place and they should keep communicating it regularly to establish and maintain trust with their customers. Am I right?
Yeah, I believe that anything that is important to you and that you're going to rely on in your business, then you should share that with other people. That's the ethics, that's the honesty. If you know that when you sell something or you're giving a service and they pay you a deposit or they pay you for that service and you have no intention of giving them any money back, then let them know. Because that's a consideration when they're making that investment. They are making an investment with you. So why can you not be honest? Why is it hidden in your terms and condition on page 99 of all the faff of whatever it is that you're saying in your terms and conditions and not on page one, or you don't alert them to a link as they are placing the order.
This makes absolute sense. So, my next question would be, is there a particular house rule that businesses should prioritize in order to ensure customer loyalty and repeat business, according to you, based on your professional opinion?
It depends what your business is. I don't go in and tell people what they should have. I go in and I ask people what is it that they want. And then I look to provide them what they need in order to get that outcome. As long as it's legal and as long as if it's not ethical to me, if I don't believe that's right, if you're trying to swindle people out of their money, then that's a goodbye from me. That's part of my house rules. But what's important to you?
Okay. Okay. So makes sense. Makes sense. But if you have to focus on anything in particular, businesses should prioritize. Like one house rule is something, which helps a lot of business owners. Is there any common element which you can think of which all businesses should have?
I guess I would have to say the refund policy, as that's the cheapest review that I've got. And I believe if someone's investing, don't swindle them. Nobody wants to be made a fool of. They don't want to feel like a sucker, because whatever the service is that you gave them beforehand and however well you treated them, if they have a problem and you are not willing to deal with it, or you're ignoring it and you don't know how to because you haven't thought through, then that's a problem. And it's going to be a lasting stain that you can't get out. So yeah, definitely think about how you would deal with something should it not go the way you want. Everyone talks about the customer journey and making that sale, but they don't talk about what might happen afterwards. This is not a Cinderella story. This is reality.
Absolutely. All right. All right. Okay. So let's actually talk, about things from a customer point of view now. Now, as a customer, let's say I'm a customer, how can I determine if a business has well-defined and communicated house rules? What would you recommend me to look out for to figure this?
Ooh. So as consumers now, we have become very lazy. We either go on the word of mouth of someone that we know, or sometimes it's not even people that we know, it's just someone who looks familiar because you have all these influencers. But look to see, I mean, simple common sense. I tell you what the problem I have. You know, when you go on these, and I keep on focusing online because that's probably the easiest way to catch people. But you go online and there's this pop-up window that always appears and says, accept our terms and conditions or privacy policy or whatever it may be. And no one thinks to read it. No one looks at, oh, what information are they going to be gathering from me? What are they going to do with my information? They just tick it because it's an annoying box and they want to go on to do what they want to do.
Yeah, that is so true. I have accepted
Yeah.
a lot of terms over the course of time, accepted a lot of cookies over the course of time. Yeah, I
Just
totally.
like with social media, like they say, oh, we're updating our terms and conditions. And some of them, their first line is, nothing for you to worry about. How do you know? You don't know what concerns me.
But another thing which I want to highlight here, Kaz, is sometimes there's a certain language which has been used when these terms and conditions are being shared with people. Okay, and sometimes people may not be aware of these terminologies and vocabulary which has been used. Do you encourage business owners whenever they are highlighting privacy policies or something of that sort to be a little more conscious with the language which is being used? Do you think that
I
helps?
I encourage them to use the language that they usually use. That's the reason why I'm there. I've done all the legal. You don't need the thou, for, thou, and all the rest of it. However you speak, have it that way. If we work together, then I'm going to make sure that it's legally compliant. If I need to, I'll get someone with the actual formal qualifications and the stamp that can sign it off. But stop confusing yourself and other people, more so yourself, because if you do not understand what your house rules are, how are you going to implement them? How are you going to monitor them? How are you going to enforce them? You won't know. That's the problem that we have right now. People have these blueprints, and when you say corporate, it's not really a corporate structure. You need to have a structure in your business. If you don't, you have chaos. And the whole point of them being called house rules is because you will have simple rules in your house. It's nothing complicated, but whether it's not to wear shoes in the house, not to go into bed without having a shower, whatever your rules are, they are just simple and you can stick to them. You're able to identify when they're not being followed and follow up, enforce them, or, there are consequences. Stop with the confusing language. Everyone's confused.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm with you on 100%. This thou, whereas, whatever. Yeah. But do you think sometimes policies do require you to have those kind of words to ensure it communicates certain things which are supposed to be communicated, and probably you have to use. Now, you are a lawyer by profession, right? You have done law, right?
I
Now,
have done law,
yeah.
yes.
So I mean, a person who has practiced law and learned about law. Okay. Now, don't you think that there are certain things which can't be like ignored? So, do you always recommend that you should simplify things? I personally feel you should simplify things, and probably I'll
Yes.
start applying it to myself and my business. Okay, but what if it's kind of a business? Let's say it's banking. Okay, now they need to kind of use these terminologies just to safeguard themselves. What would you recommend to those kind of business owners?
What are they hiding, Jason?
I don't know. They might be hiding something, definitely related to money.
If I am speaking to one of my friends that have studied and they practice law, then I can stick with all the technical terms and I don't need to break it down. If I am dealing with one of my clients, just like if they're dealing with one of their clients, then they have to break it down so that they can understand, because as much as people don't want to recognize it, we are servants to the people that we are giving these services to. So if they don't understand, they are never going to be 100% satisfied with the whatever it is that you're offering, because they never fully understood. And you can't give them something unless you want to be permanently in their business that they don't understand. I don't want to be permanently in your business. There's someone in here who has scarred me for life when you talk about help. But I see help as a temporary thing now when I break it down. I don't want you to have a quick fix that's only going to last you for a period of time. With my clients, I want them to understand, and so that they can take that concept, that idea, onto something else. And if they need a little bit more help along the way, then they can call me back. But they are much wiser and stronger as they go forward in their business, and they have a clear understanding of how they're going to achieve whatever aspiration they had in the first place.
That makes total sense. I had another thing which I like to ask you now, as as a consumer. Okay, is there any common house rules you feel we should be aware of when engaging with any kind of business? Could you give us the basics? Like, at least this business needs to have X, Y, and Z for sure.
So, whether it's a product or a service, anything that you can read and find out information on so that you have a clear understanding, please read. There are plenty of times when I go into stores and you have to sign I think I signed some kind of insurance document the other day for a hire car, and like, just sign here. And it's like, yeah, but I'm going to read it. What am I signing for? I need to read it. Just like if you are placing an order, slow down. It doesn't matter how many they've got in stock, you'll find it somewhere else. You can always go to Amazon and they'll probably have it. but slow down and read what the terms and conditions are. When are they going to post it out? I mean, I know someone who does baking who placed an order, and they paid for the express delivery because I think it was something like a Tuesday. They had an order that they needed to have out on the weekend, and then by the Friday the order hadn't arrived, and so they called them up and they said, what's happening? And they didn't read the information. They just clicked and paid the extra for the delivery, and then they found out that, oh no, it's express delivery when we have it in stock, and when we dispatch it, you'll get it in 24 hours. We don't have it in stock right now, so you don't get it. I said, well, did you read that? Do they have that on their website? Oh, I'm not sure. Go back and read it. Read and see what they say. Because now you're in problems. I mean, your business relies on this. Now you have to go and disappoint your clients because someone has disappointed you. What is the fallout there? Read. Please do read.
This is a really nice example, Cas. Okay, now this is the way I'm looking at this, okay? So, in a way, you did ask her to read it again so that you know what's amiss. So, this business had house rules in place. But do you feel that they were not effectively communicating that house rules in a structured way? That's why the customer did not see it. Maybe the way of just showing like a long description of things as terms and condition may not have been the right thing. Maybe shipping was such an important item. Maybe they should have given more emphasis how it was presented in front of the client. So I'm talking about the user experience process. So maybe the person would have paid attention. Right? You get what I'm trying to say, right?
So I don't believe that you can always place blame on somebody else. You have to take accountability for yourself. So, and maybe it's just my personality, but if I need something urgently, then I have to order something online, then I'm going to read what your delivery policy is. I want to know. There are basic laws in this country that you have to follow. So I think it's like the order has to be shipped out within 30 days. If I need it urgently, 30 days is not going to help. Do they have it in their terms and conditions that it's only once they get it in stock that they'll send it out within the 24 hours? I don't know. If they don't, then that's really shoddy. And then you know that you've definitely lost a customer there. Plus how many countless others when they shared the story. Because they shared it with me and I wasn't the first one they told. Because I seen them days later.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay.
So it's both sides. As a business, the business should know to go back. That's a complaint. They may just say, oh, it's like a stroppy customer. Then clearly they didn't have house rules in their business. Because not everybody's got house rules. Some people have got policies, procedures, and SOPs.
Yeah. I hear what you're saying, but as a consumer, while shopping around this specific website, I would feel cheated because I will feel misguided because the word express means I'm gonna get it fast. So if they have a policy in place stating that it's only gonna happen so and so, I would expect them to highlight it during the buying process somewhere rather than just having it under the terms and conditions. Again, this is just me. I feel it's such a crucial component. They may have policies in place. It would not. I don't think that goes with the flow, though. And guys, give me a thumbs up if you guys agree with me. If you're listening to this, if you feel I'm saying the right thing, just give me a thumbs up. I feel there has to be some sort of transparency there. There has to be something. Because it's very vital and important information, and I think the customer needs to be educated about it. So they have to streamline and have some sort of process in place to let that vital information gets communicated to that individual. This is what I feel.
Yes, but that speaks to the ethics. So if that's something that you're going to rely on and you've got it hidden on a different page, it's not obvious when they are booking it. You don't even have the little, like sometimes they have the little eyes so you can hover over it and it tells you like what the exception is. If you don't have that, you're not serving your actual customers, are you?
Hmm. Okay. Okay. I hear what you're saying.
But they'll still rely on that because they'll say, oh no, it's there. If you go to this place and you click here and then you click here and then you scroll down and click here, then you'll see that it says that.
Yeah, I would definitely rely on the company where I'm shopping around to educate me because, again, after all, it's their business. Okay, they have everything in place. And there is something crucial which directly affects my experience as a consumer and the way I would be interacting them as a consumer. I would expect them to educate me on that. And I'm not saying that they should spoon feed me, but I would not invest time to read through that whole article. I would just find it a waste of time, Cass. I'm just telling you the way I behave. Like, I don't have time to go through procedure. Maybe you like doing it. I personally am not a big fan of reading through all that. I might ask you to help me look at or focus on specific words. If you tell me, okay, Jason, okay, when you go through any term sheet, focus on these specific words. And if you see these words, then be careful. You get what I'm trying to say? Maybe I'll do that. Something on those lines. Whatever. I'm not debating what you're
Okay.
saying. I'm just telling you my point of view, like how I feel it and how I see it. All right, let's actually talk about employees, from their perspective on things. Now,
Sure.
according to you, how can employees actively contribute to the development and refinement of house rules within a business?
If they have the space to do so, then they should speak up when something's not working. It works both ways. If you are the owner or the management team, leadership team, I use that one loosely, then if you are not listening to what your internal community are saying, you are missing out. It's the same as that customer who doesn't who complains but doesn't complain. They make a statement and you think, oh, it's by the by. You get a lot of information and it's for you in the place of leadership to determine whether you can use that to help advance your business or just ignore it and continue the way you want. But for employees to be more engaged, you need to have the right policies in place. And
Yeah.
it's not just about
Uh huh.
the owner saying, oh, this is my company and this is what I do and you will follow my rules, because you obviously can't cope because you've brought someone in to help you because you want to expand or you need that additional support. So why don't you do it properly and have them support you? Because some people just don't want to be in the leadership or in the driver's seat. They're quite happy to be the navigator, but you've got to allow them to be able to do their role to then support you.
That makes sense. That makes sense. So, in your personal experience, if you have to put this across like an example, how would you, how would a well-established house rule would affect employee satisfaction and work-life balance? If you have to like share with us an example, just to demonstrate this point, what would that be? If you can think of any example.
So I was reading this week actually a report on employee engagement, and they says that it's still on the decline even after the pandemic, and people don't feel that if they bring something to the attention of their management that there will be any changes or they'll take any action. So therefore they do nothing, which is a very sad state of affairs. So if you and they oftentimes they do nothing because they don't understand. I know that throughout my years, one of the things that have always landed with me are the expenses. And someone will be claiming for, I don't know, chocolates and drinks and any kind of treats that they feel for because they've gone to a different office and they just believe that they're entitled. And then you've got another person who will go somewhere far and they're frightened to eat dinner because they think they don't have the money and they don't think that they're going to get paid the money back.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. That makes sense. It's pretty sad that they don't listen, and probably employees. I don't know. I'm not justifying them or saying that they're doing something wrong. Maybe maybe what they are trying to change as a house rule may involve their satisfaction or some personal interest of theirs. Maybe they are not really focused from a business standpoint, like how if an employee, okay, just a thought, okay, and I could be wrong, Cass. If an
No,
employee
go
were
ahead.
to approach an organization, a manager or somebody higher up, and say, if we do this, this is going to make us more efficient, and we would be able to do more.
Mm-hmm.
I think they should listen, right? I have not worked in corporate for quite long time now, so I don't know if the landscape has changed. But what do you think? Wouldn't they accept it because it's going to improve?
Yeah, it depends on the individual. It depends on the manager. No one wants to be a manager anymore, but they are essential. Managers are there to make sure, to manage the situation, to make sure that they stay on track. But then you have the individuals who are so, I guess, bitter that they can't climb any further. So they want to use the knowledge and the resources of their team so that they can climb higher. And if there is a bright spark within the team that they know can go further and beyond them, they're not very happy. I did have a team at one point. I don't like managing people because I don't have the touchy-feely kind of way to me. But I did have a team of, I think, four people, and it was in construction. So we were all in one office, and then we were getting more sites all over London. And I said to them, I had trained them up to a point. I was like, okay, this site is opening up, so you're going to have to go. And they're like, I don't want to go. And it's like, but that's the whole point. You can't have my job because, I've got a kid that I have to take to and from nursery. So I'm settled here. I'm stuck here at the moment. But of course you're going to run your own office, because what's the point? I wasn't holding them back. There's no point. That's not my place to hold them back. If you see someone and they've got a spark, you can see when they come alive. You can see when they are really engaged and they're invested. And my management skills are not for everyone. I've had it recently on a project where I've told a young person who's come in that this is like their first job. And I says, make some labels for some files or whatever. And they've got off and they've complained to someone and says, oh, she's just come in and she's given me directions and she hasn't been clear. And I've caught them. I've caught them and I says, what is that? And it's just like, I gave you a task. I gave you a task because sometimes things come up and there are no instructions. And I wanted to see how you could handle it. If you weren't sure you needed further guidance, then come back to me and I will help you. But at the moment, it's a task. I'm quite happy that you were complaining because I says, when was the last time you spoke to that person? Well, I don't really speak to them. But I says, I have put you in a position where you went to them for comfort, which they are part of your team. I'm going to believe in. They are going to be part of your team. So it's a lesson learned, and now you've come together, you're forming a bond. So I'm quite happy for that. But, if you need guidance, come back. But they don't, I guess they don't realize that they're so conditioned that they can't go to their managers or someone in the team to ask for guidance until they're actually thrown in the deep blue sea.
Yeah.
So it was a lesson for everyone in that team to see how it works.
Absolutely. If you have actually gone through some of the videos by Simon Sinek, he speaks about the casino, and this guy used to work for 2 casinos. I'm sure many of you folks have actually heard this example. So this guy works in 2 different hotels but get treated differently. So I think I understand what you're trying to say. It's sad that maybe most corporations behave this way, but I'm hoping people who are listening to this podcast, we hope that you are respectful to one another, and I feel that sometimes if you do find a finance employee who's much smarter and better than you, don't take it as a threat. I would say, when I used to work, Cass, believe me or
Yes.
no, I used to be a big threat to a lot of my managers. They used to think that I'm going to steal their job and become their managers or whatever. And
Right. Right.
And the immediate
But I mean,
response
where do
is
they
that
get?
crush this guy as much as you can. Fuck
They
it.
just get that crazy idea, and you're just like, I don't want your job. Like,
I'm
I can
just
see
trying
the
to do my
stress.
job properly.
Yeah, I get that a lot. Um, yeah, and I guess sometimes it can be difficult when dealing with people because I've spent a lot of time in construction and then I went to energy. Both sectors are very male orientated. So rather than being the person who's going to make the tea and be happy and bubbly and, you know, just happy to get all the crap, I want order. I'm the one who goes in the room when they're having progress meetings because as the person who deals with the administration and have to connect the dots and communicate with different teams, I need to know what's going on. I need to know that. And so when I go in now, especially when I'm working with the administration side of the team, so that because they are the ones who are going to keep the processes in order and follow up, and they are the strongest link in any kind of team, then I make sure that they come out of themselves and they are bold and they demand what they need. That doesn't mean that you have to be brash and harsh. Everybody's got a different kind of way to them. I don't swear. I very rarely shout because it hurts me. But I'm still going to stand firm in what I believe and I'm going to make sure that I get what I need if I believe that it's right for the team. I will stay in the background and tinker around to make sure that it's going to work and then roll it out within the wider team so that they can take over. But yeah, I don't know why they get this silly notion that people want their jobs. You
Yeah,
cannot hold back
I never
greatness.
understood this. Why they feel like we are a threat. I never ever understood it. And they go to an extreme just to fuck you up, which is pretty
Yeah,
scary. so, so,
there
anyways,
was one team that I worked in, and I remember there was one guy, and he's just withdrawn. Like he was really bubbly, and you could see that like his interest and everything was going down. And I said to the manager, he is not right. Why don't you give him more? Because he was doing all the like grunt work, and then the managers would come in and they would go and woo the clients. And it's like, why can't he be a part of that? Why can't he at least attend one or two? And like, would he want to? They always make these assumptions. They think that they know who the person is and what they want without having the conversation. But in this situation, the manager says, okay, then, took it on board, took him to the meetings, they won the tender, and he was so happy. Like the next one, he did all by himself with minimal guidance. And it's like, look at that. You had someone there all the time, but sometimes people need a push. You are there to push them so that they get better at what they do. Because you may be managing this team, but then if you get enough work, you have them to manage a different team and inspire other people that are coming in. Stop being limited in your thoughts and stop thinking for others when you don't know what they're thinking.
I'm with you 100%. All right, so I have a legal question. Okay, and after this we will
Okay.
start Q&A from with the audience. So my question is there any legal or regulatory aspect that businesses should consider when formulating their house rules, or is very subjective, up to you? I mean, if it's your business, you can shape it the way you like, or is there something which you have to look at before making these rules?
So, Jason, before we start, I must say that I haven't been admitted to the role, so I cannot give legal advice. This is just layperson's advice. Yeah? Don't anyone try and come and sue me because my insurance doesn't cover that. You want legal advice? Go and seek it out.
Okay, let's hear you out. Okay.
But legally, I think there's about 5 policies that you need to have within the UK. Honestly, if you want me to look international, then that requires a call and a booking because that's hard work. And you've made me do a lot of work this week writing up my notes. I don't usually do that, Jason. Yeah, in this country, you need to have, if you have at least one employee, you definitely need to have a grievance procedure or policy. And then if you have at least 5, you should have a health and safety policy. Depending on how you are registered, I think if you're a public body or a public entity, then you should have a whistleblowers policy. There are a few others, because you know there are those people who sell like these template policies and say this will like this is what you need to start. Some of them are advisory, they're not actually necessary. I wish they would asterisk the ones that you legally need to have, so that you bear that in mind and you pay special attention to that. But different regulations have different requirements. In construction, they would definitely have to have their health and safety. I think because they're going down the route of sustainability and looking after the environment, then they have to have some kind of statement for that, which they usually get off the internet for some of the companies that I've worked for, and then can't remember what they've promised the next time I come and look at their policies. And then I ask them, have you got these cups, these reusable cups, or given out mugs like you said? When did we say that? You said it here in your statement. So clearly not. So let's take it out or make an order. So yeah, it really does depend. I know for legal, it's all to do with ethics, and so you have to send out a client care letter. You have to tell them how they're going to make a complaint. If they want to make a complaint, what are the what stages and the process that they need to go through. I think that's pretty much the same for medical and finance, but honestly, don't quote me, I'd have to look. But yeah, each body has their own set of rules that you have to adhere to, and you should actually incorporate it into your policies so that, again, it becomes a daily habit.
Okay. It makes sense. I appreciate you sharing this. We are going to take a break. I'm going to give a sponsor shout out. And while that's happening, you guys are invited to actually come up on stage and ask direct questions related to house rules in business. I have tried to accommodate as many things I could in this interview. It's not completely finished. I mean, probably we could ask more questions, try to understand her expertise, CAS expertise, and try to get more insights. So it's up to you folks. If anybody is interested in coming up, please come up. This is the time. I'm going to place myself on mute and do a sponsor shout out.
Do you want to find out how your neurology works? Do you want to understand why you do what you do? Then it's really simple. Just check out yourlifeliveit.com, and there you'll find lots of different ways for you to be able to learn more about you, why you do the things you do, and more importantly, how to change those in a really quick, effective way. We call it unthinkable change. The change that you'll experience with neural coding is fast and it lasts. Don't wait anymore. You get 86,400 seconds every day. Once it's gone, it's gone. We are committed and passionate about helping people create unthinkable change in their lives. We've been doing this since 2008 and literally changed over 41,000 problems, deleted them from the neurology, and then installed a solution that works best for the client. Whether you want to work one-on-one or take one of our award-winning neural coding online courses, take action today. The costs of not doing that are just more days wasted. So connect with us. We're here to help. We're here to help you create unthinkable change that's fast and it lasts. It's your life. Live it.
All right, so that is Dr. Amanda Fureyland. She's an international speaker. She has around 1.9 million views on her TED Talk, has spoken in over 14 countries, and she has been a keynote speaker for over 36 years, impacting more than 3.5 million lives, and it's also the number one best-selling author. If you like to get recorded, as you heard in the audio I just played, book your discovery call with Dr. Amanda at yourlifeliveit.com. You should be able to find this information, the link under the show notes or the event notes. I have all these links available. Okay, when you do reach out to her, do let her know that you have been referred from my show. Okay, that shout out really helps. Okay, second thing which I want to let you guys know that I only allow ad placements from people who have been a guest on my show. So if if any of my guests who has been previously been interviewed on my show, if you'd like to do an ad placement, please reach out to me. I would be glad to help you out. And yeah, and ad placements does definitely help you to minimize some of the production expenses. It roughly costs me about 100 to 150 odd bucks to produce a podcast, which includes all the work which goes in building the assets, sound, and everything else, recording everything. That's what it costs me to produce one. And any kind of sponsorship does help me to reduce and minimize some of those expenditures. So I appreciate anybody who has been supporting my show. Thank you so much. I also want to thank all my guests who actually subscribe to my recordings, like buy recordings, buy clips. This all these things helps me to minimize the cost. All right, so let's actually start with Q&A. I want to say hi to Christine. So Christine, thank you so much for joining the stage. I'm so sorry I could not bring you up initially because we were just starting with the interview process. Do you have a question or would you like to contribute to this conversation?
Yes to both. First of all, I just want to apologize. I didn't realize I've had my hand up this entire time. I put my hand up because I wanted to answer the question you had to the song you were playing at the very beginning.
That's not Pink Floyd.
I
That's not Pink Floyd.
Miss Johnson, I am a fan of yours. I respect you unendingly. I do have to say I'm familiar with some of the things that you've had published. I actually You remind me so much of my my most treasured, and that's not even the right word. You have to forgive me. I don't brain so well. I don't speak as succinctly as I used to. I unfortunately had COVID in 2021. Almost didn't survive, and it did affect um, some of the processes in my brain, and one of those is communications, which I used to pride myself on. That's what I get for having the sin of pride. So I believe I'm repaying that in some form after that. So anyway, I did want to say that first before um, although it came after my apology for the hand being up because I love Fleetwood Mac so very much. Um, Reminds me of my childhood. Unfortunately, that's a memory I've been able to keep. So I did want to address this subject, and I was very much looking forward to speaking um, after knowing you were coming here again. And last week's I also was a fan of, but um, this particular subject, actually, I have been on two different sides of leadership styles and ways that you manage different types of um, employees, people that are introverts, extroverts. I did my thesis in college on firstborn extrovert type A personalities, which actually I want to say I was um, before I became an INTJ. I am now, but not a lot of people, you know, subscribe to that particular mode of thinking. But anyway, and it doesn't matter. We are who we are, and we behave how we behave, and it really, in essence, it doesn't really matter how we got that way, why we are the way we are, because the product is us and how we react to the things that we do, whether we're leaders, followers,
Yeah, Christine,
we're
you would have to be a little more specific. Usually don't interrupt you, but we're losing
of
people
course.
down in the audience. People are tuning
I'm
out.
so sorry. I'm so
I'm
sorry.
joking. I'm
Okay,
joking. I'm joking.
what I'll do, because I did actually take notes, is I'll just read what I wrote, if that's okay. I just didn't want it to sound harsher than it was meant to sound.
No, no,
When
go ahead.
um because it wasn't intended for that. So this is what I'll say. I did teach leaders how to be mentors. When I was in the hospitality industry for almost 30 years, I do own my own company now. It's not in, it's um, in the wedding industry actually, but I am pivoting once again. I'm about to relaunch, but I'm not going to discuss. That's not what we're here for. But it is kind of along the same lines of creativity. And this, however, leadership, I do still have a very strong feeling about leadership, and
Okay.
it has changed 180 degrees from what it was before. Before, when I was making rules and procedures and my POS manuals and all of that, I actually would work with our leadership and security and all of that um, along the same, grain, I guess, although probably not as sophisticated as you. I had a very strong um, way of feeling and thinking, because it was difficult to waver from that and remain respected and have people follow your rules if you weren't following them yourself. And that was number one. However, I did find people would respect how I was doing things, but they didn't always um they weren't always loyal. Um so I later created, when I was trying to work my way through my illness I was recovering from, when I was trying to um figure
Cass,
out.
are you following the question, like, Cass?
Um, so I guess if there's an interruption, when you say that they weren't loyal, are they your rules or are they the rules of the business? Because I don't need anyone to be loyal to me. My business is my
Right.
business. When I go out to
Yes.
clients, it's their rules. I don't implement rules
Hmm.
that I have into their business. That's why I have to deal with the main person first to find out what their goal is. What is it that they want? And then I can look at what you've got in place already if you have a structure. If you don't, then we work together. It definitely is working together to make sure that you get what you want within
Yeah.
reason, as long as it's legal. And for me, if it's going to conflict with my ethics and what I believe, then I'm not going to do it. But you might be able to find somebody else. So I don't need anyone to be loyal to me.
Right.
But what I'm not going to do is come in, work with you, and then you do something completely different. Because either I'm not breaking it down clear enough to you for you to build yourself up, or you just don't respect me in that way. And I haven't got time for that, because there are other people who do want to build a structure where they attract the people that are not even of the same mindset as them, but they have the same aspirations and they have commonality so that they can build.
Right. And I absolutely understand that. And sorry, I wasn't format. I was my speech wasn't coming across. I couldn't find my notes, and I have found them now. So
Honestly, that's
hopefully,
fine. As harsh as you want to be, go ahead,
no,
because
and
I will
it's
respond.
I'm a feeler. It's not harsh at all. I would find it harsh for myself. You will not, because you're much stronger than me. And I'll just read my notes. Okay, this is what I wrote. Um, hmm. I wrote, and the topic itself, actually, when you're dealing with ethics, um, well, I'll just read what I wrote, and
Mhm.
you'll understand where I'm coming from. Um, okay. It says, I have a completely opposite view on this topic. Live a life of service. Number one. I start every project with my life mantra, which is that in the front of my mind. Now, mind you, when it comes to ethics and making sure crossing T's and dotting I's, so people aren't being sued or the like, would have to be number one when it comes to doing what you do. That became my mantra after I went through to your ordeal that I've already explained.
Okay.
However, my mantra hasn't failed me in the last 30 years. I appreciate your efforts of caution. I understand why you have those. I believe, though, you're beating yourself over the head with the cautiousness and the rules and the ethics because you have to, because that's your job. But I wonder, in my concern for you, if you might end up with any stress related symptoms or any health issues. But that's beside the point and is nothing related to this topic. Maybe
So,
for
is it
yeah.
okay to interrupt?
Oh, uh, sure.
Yeah. So you say live a life of service. Is that for me or for you?
That's for everyone. I believe that people who, whether or not you're in a service industry, whether or not, I believe that's life. I
Yeah,
believe that.
Christine, I just
uh,
want to be respectful to everyone, not only our listeners, but also my guests. Okay, I know you like to phrase questions with detail, but trust me, it's not really helping. What happens is that, people do get bored. I'm just being very upfront and honest with you. I'm not a guy who keeps interrupting people. That's not really my personality. But you have to learn how to phrase questions precisely so that we value other people's time, right? It's also, I'm doing this Q&A. You started off, it's almost been like 10 minutes. I think it becomes challenging for others. Okay,
Okay.
I would recommend, and I'm saying this out of respect, nothing hard feelings against you. I also face challenges, sometimes communicating. I've struggled a bit doing that. I would recommend that when you
Yeah.
have something very precise and narrowed down, it's recommended to have like a one-on-one conversation with my guests. And trust me, nobody is gonna say no. Have a
Yeah.
one-on-one
I was just
conversation.
coming from
Mhm.
my that was my mantra. I just stated it to explain why I am why I was coming from this viewpoint because but I don't mention that again. I am very concise in the next 2 minutes, and but I don't have to finish. If you would like to move on,
Yeah,
I
I, I
can
would
step
I would
aside.
want to do that because I want to be respectful to other people. And plus, we do have the show does have like a 90-minute time frame. We have to wiggle everything in within that time period. Right? A lot of planning
Okay.
goes
So
creating this space, right? So we want to be respectful to everyone. Don't take me wrong.
okay.
I'm just trying to be real with you. I respect you and I admire you and I like you. And I'm just sharing it as a friend, like how I feel. I don't want to hide things away.
Sure. Okay. Well, I'll just post this. It's very short. It's another 2 paragraphs. and
Yeah,
that way
please send
I'll.
it to Cas directly so that she can have this personal conversation. So let's actually move on. I want to say hi to Leslie. Okay, Leslie, thank you so much for coming back. Do you have a question or anything you like to contribute to this conversation?
Yeah, hi Jason, Cass, Phyllis, everybody here. I had a question, Cass, very interesting, because as a speaker in health and wellness, and I notice the quick fixes is very high on the topic of conversation, especially very prevalent in the US. And I think the fact that we were so programmed over the years that everything is a quick fix, with our
Mm.
health, with our diet, whatever. Do you see over the years that this people, especially have done a study on Gen Zs, that they just don't have the patience to really ingest? They do something, they absorb it, and they move on. Do you find that with the younger generation in your work ethics and in your business? And that's my question.
Uh, no, is the short answer. Um, I think the younger generation are misunderstood, and I've explained it this way. When my parents were growing up, their parents would go out to work, they would come back, and they wouldn't say anything about their job. It was just a job so that they could provide for their family. When my parents went out to work and they would come back, they would moan about everyone in their job and say how they hate it. And I have kind of done the same thing, but I've gone and looked out and started up on my own. And I think now the younger generations, they hear that and they think, why should I sign up for that? If I am so unhappy and there's just no pleasure in that, why should I do it? I am now starting to see the younger generation come in. Like, I can remember when I was first going out raving or whatever, and these youngsters are coming in and that's their date of birth, and it's like, what? And it's a different kind of challenge to speak to them and to relate to them. What we have come accustomed to is shortening things down and not spending the time to explain things to people and make sure that they have a clear understanding of what that they have to do, of what is going on and what the intentions are or what the steps ahead are going to be. Um, and that's where we think it's impatience, but as you move ahead, you have no idea what you're going to do next unless you plan it out. You've got to dream about it, think about the steps that you're going to take so that you have clarity and you can keep the momentum and the longevity. I find nothing wrong with the kids of today, and although they're not my target market, as people would say. I tell my clients, and they know, that when they come to do some of their policies, it's going to just be for them. Like, you will have the website or you will put it in your contract and someone will rush and sign, but it's for you to explain to the person that you are dealing with, because you respect them and you respect yourself enough to enforce what is important to you. So if, like I said, no refund, make them know that there is no refund. If they have a deadline and time limits and you are keeping to that because that's vital to you, let them know and explain. Don't rush people. Everyone's in a rush to do. I don't know what everyone's in a rush to do. Where are they going? You come back to the same thing again and you just, I don't know, frustrated, upset, and just unpleasant people everywhere. Slow down.
No, I appreciate that. Having three sons that are all Gen Zs, on the flip side, they're very entrepreneurial. They are quick thinkers, and they don't have the fear. They go for it, and they Google things, and they could figure something out very quickly. So it's really amazing how different people are wired. But thank you for the share and the words of wisdom. I appreciate that.
No, you're very welcome. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome. Please continue to be on stage, Leslie. All right, Phyllis, welcome. Welcome to the stage. How are you?
Hey, honeys, I'm good. I'm good.
I,
Don't
w-
be laughing. Don't be laughing.
I watched your video with Cass, and it was a phenomenal interview which you had on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I actually came to know about her story about why she wanted to become a VA. And you guys having that
Yes.
conversation. It
Oh
was
my
really nice.
God. It was a fight. It was a fight. And
So
the thing about, and I came up here, I don't really have a question because Cass, and just so y'all know, Cass is a former client of mine, but now I'm a client of hers because I do not create any written policies or procedures without Cass. Because even though she's in the UK, the stuff that I needed, she actually researched for me. She researched US law for me to make sure my stuff is compliant. And when I said I didn't want something in there, she was able to explain to me why I needed it in there. But then she also let me put it in my own voice because it's like one of the things that we had an understanding about is like, why have policies that I can't enforce? Is just wasted air and wasted paper. So she gave me a better appreciation for the policies and procedures that I have, and she makes me look at them differently. I still don't necessarily like them, but again, this is why I hire Cass. She is that person that when I say that I'm doing something, she's like, okay, when are we doing your policy for that? I'm like, fuck, I don't want to. But trust and believe, I no longer buy store bought policies. I sit down with Cass and I hash it out and make sure that it happens and that it fits my business, not only my business but my brand. And I refer all my people to her. When they start talking about their policies, you got to go to Cass because you got to make sure that what you're putting out there is something that you can enforce, because a lot of people have policies that they don't know how to enforce. They're afraid of them. I always tell people, don't hire somebody you can't fire, because if you're afraid to fire them, then you know what? It wasn't meant for you to be a boss. So that I just wanted, like I say, Cass is the business for me. I promise you, she is all the things, and I just wanted to come up here and say that.
Thank you.
that is super cool. That is super cool. All right, so let's actually move on to. All right, we're gonna have some fun. We're gonna have rapid fire questions, and whoever is on stage, Leslie and Phyllis, please be a part of this. All right, first question.
Jason,
Yeah,
Jason,
yeah,
who is the fun for? Is it for you or me?
yeah. It can be for both. Let's see. Let's see. Okay,
Okay, let's
okay,
see.
okay. Okay, since we are speaking about policies now, what would be your no more boring meeting policy to make corporate gathering more entertaining and engaging?
I hate meetings.
Me too, personally.
I hate them and I only attend them when I need to. Um, and that's coming from someone who sits down with people. I don't think that my meetings when I'm with my clients are meetings though. We get together, I want them to be relaxed because I am going to make them so brain tired at the end of it with all my difficult questions, and they just hate thinking about it. So no more than 90 minutes at most. But don't go to meetings that you're not relevant to. I see people do that all the time, especially in the past when I was looking after senior managers and directors. Oh, we want the director to come along. Why? Oh, we want to talk about this. Where's the papers? Oh, we don't have any papers. We're going to talk. No, you need papers so that they can review it, so that they can have their questions ready. And if your papers are not good enough, that means that you're not ready for a meeting. Stop with all the meetings. I
But
know there
Cass,
are a couple of
I'm actually saying, how would you make it funny and entertaining
funny.
and
Meetings are
engaging?
not supposed to be
Well,
funny.
if you had to, like, if you had to make like a policy to make it more engaging and entertaining, what would you do?
No, Jason, they're not funny. I know there's a couple of companies. Is Microsoft one of the companies that have just banned all meetings at the moment? I don't know how that would work. Meetings don't have to be funny, and they don't have to. The engaging part is that you invite the people that need to be around the table. Inviting just the high level people who have nothing to do with the groundwork and the granular details, when that's what you want to discuss, you're going to have a useless meeting. they just need to relook at it. It's not an ego thing. You're having a meeting so that you can progress in something. So have the
Jason,
right people.
Yeah.
she's gonna
What?
make it funny by making it difficult. You hear this, right?
Do I not have a point? Is that not a point?
No, you missed the point.
How to
You
what? What should I say? That they should all come in with funny hats?
you are such a no. I ain't even talking to you.
Exactly.
This
I
ain't even
do.
my show. I'm shutting up.
It's okay. Whatever helps. Like I tried.
Should they come with different kind of fruit to represent themselves?
Or maybe wear pajamas to meetings.
Don't have a meeting, have a social then if you want it to be fun. Meetings are about work.
Okay, okay, okay.
Just get to the point. They drag it out. That's the whole point, that
Like
meetings are
you dragging
boring.
out this answer. Let it go.
Okay.
I want you to pull your brain, Cas, from the serious side, the ethical side, to the fun side, okay? Okay, now, if you could replace the sound of your office printer with any funny noise, what would it be?
Is this to me again?
It's for you. Yeah, if you could.
Silence.
Oh, a silent printer? Okay, okay,
This is
okay.
not going to be fun for anyone, is it? I don't like extra noises, so yeah, silence or a nice
Okay,
song. So
okay,
maybe
okay.
something groovy from the 70s that you just want to rock your shoulders to, not even bop your head, and then you want to get. Then I'd be printing all the time. That wouldn't be great for the environment. But yeah, music. I love any kind of music. So maybe depending what I'm printing, a different kind of track. Maybe trap cardio, maybe a bit
Uh-huh.
classical. Yeah, disco. Yeah.
Okay, okay, okay. I got one funny question which I would be asking everyone on stage. And the funny question is, if you could add one inappropriate item to an office vending machine, and let's assume that you guys have a big office and it does have a vending machine, if you could add one inappropriate item to that vending machine, what would it be? Okay. Let's start with Leslie. Leslie.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
How about like something fun and festive, like a martini glass, a beer mug, something, a little item like a miniature, like TGIF on a beer mug or something, which I don't know how inappropriate that is. But, I was going to say something else, but I'm going to mind my manners and, and not say what I was going to say because I don't know everybody too well enough yet. So I'll keep it at that. How's that?
All right, all right, all right. But you can keep it real. But if you had to think of an inappropriate thing, what would that be? She went silent.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, because I'm not sure. That's a good question.
Okay, fine.
Not sure on that one. I'm gonna pass. Pass to the next.
Okay, let's hear from Phyllis. I'm sure Phyllis has a lot of interesting things to add.
Oh my God. For the folks who talk too much in the office, I would have my vending machine would have either ball gags or muzzles. Shut up. But then it would also have like mixed cocktails, like mixed cocktail kits in there. It's like, oh, you know what? It's after 5 and I don't want to drive home yet. I'm gonna mix the cocktail, pull it out the vending machine, go sit down in the break room, have your drink before you get on the freeway. But don't drive drunk.
What else? What else? What else? I'm making a list.
What else? Something fun. If you're on, like, if it's the end of the day, the vending machine would have to-do lists. Like on your drive home, these are things you stop and do on your way home. Like stop for the groceries, get the dry cleaning because you might have forgotten. So if you pull the list out of the vending machine, oh no, better yet, having a funny section in there where whatever task, like it's a mystery task that you have to do. So you turn it in whatever mystery task comes out, like if you have to do laundry when you get home or something of that nature, something fun and funky. It's like, oh, I don't want to do this, but this is my task for the day because I actually paid to tell them to tell me to do this. So yeah, a mystery task for the day.
All right, all right. That's really cool. I appreciate you sharing that. Let's actually hear from Cass. So, Cass, I hope you become creative because I gave you enough time so that you can process and think about something funny.
No, do you know? No, Jason, don't do that. Don't do that. Right. My first answer is not appropriate, but it was going to be some kind of sex toy because I'd like to see
Mm-hmm.
who are the adventurous ones in the office, and it's safer than drink because I don't condone that, having
That's
a
so
drink
true.
and then going
Yes.
off and driving home.
Any
There,
specific
don't
color?
let's. But then I'm thinking about the, your certain policies that you have, relationships in the workplace, just the clean up and the respects for the cleaners afterwards. And yeah, so I'm not sure. But yeah, definitely that. Just to be nosy. Anything that I can be nosy with people and find out a little bit more would be great.
Awesome, awesome. I appreciate you sharing this. Okay, now I have one question before we ask you about your business. Now, who has been your biggest influence in your life, Cass?
Oh, I'm sure I'm supposed to weep here and say my mother or some very famous person who's just touched my life.
You
I
don't
would
have
say
to.
me,
Okay,
me.
wow.
But it's influenced by other people that I have met to show how great I can be and the greatness I have done in the past. I haven't recognized that. I mean, I know when I first met Phyllis and Ebony down there in the audience, we were talking and I was all about that VA stuff, and it really did sit on me with a heavy heart. And then we started talking. And I was like, no, I've done law and I have a degree and I have this and I have all these letters that are almost as long as my name. And they're like, shut the front door. Well, you know, Phyllis doesn't say that. She would have said something else. And it was just like, oh. And then I have to sit with it a moment. I get so caught up in what I'm doing. I, I, I am guilty of not appreciating how well I've done it. And for many years, that has allowed me to get the experience that I've got, but also people have had a wonderful free ride on what I have done. So, yeah, it's not just me, it's me, but I've had wonderful support along the way.
That is super cool. If you hear a little buzz noise from my background, it's actually started raining here in Mumbai. And I feel nice because it's gonna get cold soon because of the rain. So,
Oh, that's not your printer.
no, that's not my print. Oh, she can be funny, Phyllis. You know, she's being funny now. Okay.
She can. It just
Yeah.
takes her a minute.
It takes a couple of minutes for her to process things. Okay, I see that now. Okay. My next question, it's about your business. So, do you have anything you like to promote, share? It could be an event, or it could be some sort of course or services which you are selling. Anything you like to promote on my show and educate my audience about?
So events, I don't really like to do big events. This room makes me a little bit nervous in respect that I don't know what everybody does. And then when I'm speaking to people, I like to tailor it to what it is that they do so that they understand. I've got a saying that I've stolen from somebody else. I don't like to flap my gums. So if I'm saying something and you're not understanding, then I just might as well shut up. So not really any events, but I am going to be looking at that. I'm sure people will push me in the near future to do that. When it comes to the services, there's two main ones. As I've spoken a bit about refunds, that's very important because I know when people go into business, they think, oh, I'm the boss and you know, everything. I get to decide everything. And I have seen some crazy refund policies, if they have them at all. It's shocking. I have spoke about it on some of my social media, and the people who really need it are probably the ones that are ignoring it. So we do need the conversation.
Other than that, I have humming sessions. Now, they can be standalone or they can be a package, but I love the humming sessions. It doesn't mean that you have to subscribe with me or anything like that. We just come together and we have a conversation about absolutely anything to do with a process, a policy, procedure, whatever it may be. So even if you are struggling with organizing your calendar, or you don't know how to onboard, or you're not sure, you've got like the makings of a toxic work environment, anything, we can come together. There is no judgment. Yeah, I just want to make sure that you understand what is in place. I'm definitely not HR. Please do not confuse me for HR. I will come in, roll my sleeves up, get involved. And like the young one says, she just gave me work to do and didn't explain anything.
There won't be any funny meetings for sure.
No, we have good meetings. Phyllis can attest to that. We have good meetings.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. And trust me, she's a lot funnier one-on-one.
I know. I witnessed that. Just in case, guys, if you're wondering what is the name of the website, it's CAS Solutions Limited.com. CASOLUTIONS Limited.com. If you're struggling to write this down, I have it mentioned on the event notes or the show notes. It is, irrespective where you check it, you should be able to find all this information. Please reach out to Cass. She's an ethical strategist. Tons and tons of insights can be provided. Have that one-on-one conversation and try it out. I'm sure you will find a lot of golden nuggets and insights that would really help you as an entrepreneur. So with that note, we would be wrapping up the show. So Cass, if you could leave our listeners with one thing they can take away from this whole conversation, what would that be?
If you are doing anything in business, whether you own it yourself or you're working for someone else, remember that it takes time. Everyone has aspirations. Think about it. I wouldn't even say plan it out, but I would say give yourself grace for space.
That is incredible, Cass. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate all of you 9 people who've been listening to the very end of our conversation. Thank you so much. So, with that note, I wanted to say goodbye to you all. Have a lovely morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you're in the world. Please take care of yourself. Next week, we will have a phenomenal show. Next week's show is about the convergence of podcast and VR technology with Girish Bali. It's a good friend of mine, podcasters. He's a podcaster to June 28th, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's when the event is going to be held. Okay, please join us next week. I would be posting the event link on the show notes here, or you should be able to find it on the featured section of my profile. Thank you so much, Cass, once again. Thank you, Phyllis. Thank you, Leslie. Thank you. I love you all.